Hello everyone, hope you're doing well, and today's topic of our discussion would be FSMO seizing and Active Directory Metadata Cleanup. So let's see what we have on the agenda today. So we'll be taking a look at what is FSMO seizing. We'll look at what is Active Directory Metadata Cleanup, and we'll have labs on we'll seize FSMO roles, and we'll also perform Active Directory Metadata Cleanup. So let's jump in. So let's understand what is FSMO seizing. So the term seizing means grabbing, snatching, capture, or grasp, etc. So in the world of Active Directory, the process of designating FSMO role from a non-operational role holder to any other domain controller is called as FSMO seizing. Means if a domain controller which holds any FSMO role is dead or it's non-operational, we won't be able to transfer the role, because to transfer FSMO roles we require the source domain controller and the destination domain controller to be up and running. But over here, the source domain controller is dead. Okay, so we won't be able to transfer. Instead, we need to seize the role. Let's take an example over here. Let's say we have two domain controllers, DC1, DC2. And DC1 is holding an FSMO role, or say multiple roles. Unfortunately, DC1 became non-operational, so it can be say operating system issues or say hardware failure, anything. So we tried to restore it, but nothing worked out for us. So the only option left with us was to seize this role and make DC2 as the FSMO role holder. So after doing this process, this DC1 is just logically present in our Active Directory. Physically it's non-operational, it's dead domain controller. So what we'll do, the next step is to remove this dead domain controller or erase this dead domain controller using Active Directory Metadata Cleanup. So we'll also look at what is Active Directory Metadata Cleanup in our upcoming slides. So when to seize an FSMO role? Now the current role holder is non-operational or dead by any reason. It can be hardware failure, operating system corruption, and it cannot be recovered from backup. So in such situations, we don't have any choice. We need to seize the role. And let's say a current role holder is experiencing an operational error that prevents an FSMO dependent operation from completing successfully, and we just cannot transfer the role, man. So in this scenario, we need to go ahead and perform FSMO seizing. So how to say seize the role? Definitely there is only one choice. Use NTDS utility, and using this utility we can perform many maintenance tasks on Active Directory database, and one of the tasks is say seizing FSMO roles. Now let us understand Active Directory Metadata Cleanup. So agenda for Active Directory Metadata Cleanup would be, we'll understand, first of all, we'll understand what is metadata. Then we'll understand what is Active Directory Metadata Cleanup. Then when to perform metadata cleanup and how to perform Active Directory Metadata Cleanup. So what is metadata? Now this is a generic term. It doesn't just applies to Active Directory database. It applies to anything. Okay. So metadata is the data that provides information about other data. So metadata is data about data. For example, metadata for a document might include the information like the author, the file size, the data, the date the document was created, keywords to describe the document, etc. Another example can be, let's say, an example of metadata for a music file might include the following information. Let's say the artist's name, the album, the year in which the album or the music file was released, etc. Now, metadata is data that describes data, but it's not the data itself. So there is difference between data and metadata. Let's take an example, live example over here. So we have a file over here named securitylog.txt. So whatever you see on the screen right now is the metadata of the file name securitylog.txt. For example, type of file, opens with location, size on disk, modified, created, accessed, and the attributes. So these are not the contents of the file. This is the information about the file. So we can call this as the metadata of securitylog.txt file. So what is Active Directory metadata cleanup now? So we know what is metadata. Now let's focus on Active Directory metadata cleanup. So process of erasing dead objects from Active Directory which cannot be removed by standard means. So this process is called as Active Directory metadata cleanup. Process of erasing dead objects from Active Directory which cannot be removed by standard means. This process is called as Active Directory metadata cleanup. So the next question is when to perform Active Directory metadata cleanup. So when a domain controller is non-operational due to hardware failure or any other reason and cannot be demoted gracefully or restored from backup. So in such scenarios, we need to perform Active Directory metadata cleanup. And let's say we decommissioned a domain successfully and still the traces of that decommissioned domain remains in Active Directory. Then we need to force remove that domain performing NTDS util metadata cleanup. So again, how to perform Active Directory metadata cleanup? The answer is very simple, using NTDS util utility. So this utility is again an extremely important tool in any Active Directory administrator's arsenal. Okay, you must know NTDS util, say at least 80% of NTDS util if you are working on Active Directory. So our labs now, let's understand how the labs will go now. So there will be two labs, FSMO Seize and metadata cleanup. So we have a domain contoso.com and we have two domain controllers, DC10 and DC20, and DC10 is our RID master, and for some reason this DC10 became non-operational, and say we tried to restore everything and it didn't went fine, so it went out of our infrastructure now. It's not physically present in the infrastructure, but logically it's still present in the Active Directory. So the first step is, and we decided that we don't want this domain controller anymore because we don't have any choice now. We have to say remove it from our infrastructure. So the first step is we'll go ahead and seize RID master and say make DC20 as our new RID master. And the second step would be to perform Active Directory metadata cleanup and erase this dead domain controller from our existing Active Directory database. So these will be the two labs that we will be performing right now. So let's jump into the labs now. Yes, I have logged on to the labs now, and we have two domain controllers, DC10 and DC20. Let me open up Active Directory. So we can see that we have two domain controllers, DC10 and DC20, and our domain name is contoso.com. So let's see the steps what we will be performing in our labs. The first thing is we will be checking our current FSMO role holders. Number two, we'll make sure that only RID master is on say DC10 or DC10 is RID master. Then we'll shut down DC10 assuming that it is dead. Then we'll seize RID master to DC20. Then we'll perform metadata cleanup and remove DC10. And then we'll check the current FSMO role holders. So again, I'll just repeat it again. First, we'll check all the FSMO role holders. Then we'll make sure that RID is the only role which is there on DC10. Then we'll shut down DC10 assuming that it is dead. Then we'll seize RID master to DC20. We'll perform metadata cleanup and remove DC10, and then we'll check the current FSMO role holders. So for all these activities or these 6 steps, we'll be using NTDS util. So I have already opened up admin command prompt, and let me type in, first of all, let us check the current FSMO role holders. So netdom query FSMO. So let's see the status of current FSMO role holders now. Then we'll go ahead and make sure that only RID master resides on DC10. So if you see over here, PDC emulator, RID master and infrastructure master are on DC10, and schema master and domain naming master are already on DC20. So our first step is to make sure that only RID master resides on DC10. So we need to transfer PDC emulator and infrastructure master to DC20. So let me open up NTDS util and transfer PDC emulator and infrastructure master to DC20. So I'll type in roles. So we have already seen FSMO transfer in our earlier videos. We also know the process. We need to connect to the target domain controller and simply transfer. Now right now I'm connecting to the target. So connect to server DC20. So DC20 is our target, DC10 is our source. And whenever we perform an FSMO transfer, the prerequisite is the source and the destination should be up and running, and there should be a proper connectivity between the source and the destination. So the connection has been done. Let me quit out of here and now simply perform a transfer. Transfer PDC, yes. Transfer infrastructure master, and yes. So we were successfully able to transfer, say, both the roles. So let me quit, let me come out of NTDS util, and let us go ahead and check the current status of our FSMO roles by running the command netdom query FSMO. So we need to make sure that only RID master is on DC10, rest all the other roles should be on DC20. And as we can see over here, only RID pool manager or RID master is on DC10, all the other 4 roles are on DC20. So step number 3 now, we'll shut down DC10 assuming that it is dead. So let me go to DC10, right click, shut down, and simply shut down, continue. So this DC10 is now down. We will assume that it is dead now. Okay, DC10 is dead. We'll assume that it is no more in our infrastructure now. Now we need to seize our RID master using same NTDS util. So I'm on NTDS util now. Now let's say I don't know about what next to be done. I only know that say we need to seize the roles. I'll just put in question mark, and again same thing, we have to go for roles. Again FSMO maintenance, again the process remains the same, connect to the target and simply seize. Connections, connect to server DC20. So we are connected to DC20 now. I'll just quit, again come back to FSMO maintenance. If I don't know, we'll just put in a question mark, and we have a command name seize RID master. So seize RID master, hit enter, and I'll just click yes. Now the beauty of this NTDS util is it will first try to, so it will not seize the role, okay, it will try to first transfer the role gracefully, and say if it has some time to leave, and if it's not able to find the RID master, then it will go for the seize procedure. So just click on yes over here. See over here, attempting to safe transfer RID master before seizure. So it's trying to find RID master before performing the seize operation, and we know that it will not find it out because it won't be able to find it because we have turned off, or this domain controller is dead now. So let's see. Now after this seize is completed, we'll perform something called as the metadata cleanup. So if you see over here, if you open up Active Directory, and expand domain controllers over here. So this domain controller 10 DC10, okay, is dead now, but still it's present in our Active Directory database. So let's see what happens over here. What happened? Okay, so let's open up a new command prompt and run the query again, and check the current status of the roles. So all the 5 roles should be on DC20. Okay, so we were successfully able to seize RID master, and now all the 5 roles are on DC20. So the seize was completed successfully. Now we don't have DC10 in our infrastructure. Physically it is not present, but logically it is present in Active Directory. Okay, so when replication will happen, Active Directory will think that DC10 is there and it will try to replicate. So it is always advisable to remove DC10 completely from Active Directory and there are a lot of other places where the traces of DC10 are present, but we don't know. So the best way to remove the complete traces of DC10 again is through performing Active Directory metadata cleanup. Again, we will perform Active Directory metadata cleanup using NTDS util. So I'm going for NTDS util. So I don't know. See over here now. Again, we have a command or a switch metadata cleanup. So let me type in metadata cleanup. Now the process of metadata cleanup is a little bit complex. Now the first thing is we have to say connect to the target, or to connect to a good Active Directory database, number one. Then we have to select an operation target. So first of all, we need to display all the domains in the forest and then select the domain, then display all the sites in that domain, and then select a site in which the domain controller is dead, and then select the domain controller in the site, and then quit, and then remove the selected server. So I am on metadata cleanup now. Let me put in a question mark over here. Again, we have to connect to the target. So connections, connect to server DC20. DC20 is our good domain controller. So I am connected to DC20. So I'll just type in quit and come out one step. Now we have to select the operation target, okay, because this metadata cleanup don't know what exactly needs to be deleted or erased. So select operation target. So after selecting the operation target, let's say we don't know. So we have to first list all the domains in the forest. So it only found one domain and the number of this domain is 0. So let us select domain 0. We have everything displayed on the screen. It's very easy tool to use. Select domain 0. So it says you have selected the domain, but you have not selected the, say, site or server or any naming context. It's absolutely okay. So we have selected the domain now. Our next step would be to list sites in the domain. So it's an outside in process. List sites. So we'll list all the sites in the domain. So it found just one site. See over here. Name of the site is, say, number of the site is 0. So next step would be is to select site 0. See over here. Select site 0. So it says that this site has been selected now, but no current server has been selected. So we need to list servers in site. Perfect. So it got 2 servers now. See over here, DC10 and DC20. So DC10 is 0, DC20 is 1. So after that, we need to select server in that particular site, and that would be server number 0. So select server 0. Okay, so we have selected DC10, okay, server 0. So the select operation target process is completed now. We'll just come one step back, quit. Again, we are on the metadata cleanup prompt, place in the question mark, and we can type in the command remove selected server. See, now it's giving us a warning. Are you sure you want to remove the object DC10? Absolutely, I'm okay with it. So we have successfully removed DC10 from our infrastructure. So let us cross check in our Active Directory now. Let me right click on refresh over here, and we don't have DC10 anymore. Now let us open up Active Directory sites and services. So this is the only place where we need to manually remove the server from Active Directory sites and services. And we can also open up, say, DNS. So let's open up sites and services, and we have two servers over here. See, DC10, DC20. We don't have anything under DC10, so I will simply right click and will delete it from here. Absolutely okay, we are okay with it. So we are just left with one domain controller now in our contoso.com domain. So let us check in DNS. Let me open up admin tools, open up DNS. See over here, it also went away from our DNS, but still we can see this traces over here. So we can simply right click and delete the host A record of the DNS, and we can see in the name servers as well. See over here, it's showing as unknown, so we'll simply remove it from here. So eventually DNS will, these records will be removed from DNS. Okay, eventually as the time goes, it will remove the records. So I hope you have enjoyed the labs for FSMO seizing and Active Directory metadata cleanup. So if you have anything, you can just drop a comment and I'll be very happy to reply. Hope you have enjoyed the labs. Now let's understand the exact difference between FSMO transfer and FSMO seizing. So let's understand what is transfer first. So in this, both the source and the destination domain controllers must be up and running and must be connected. Now in our labs, okay, we were both the domain controllers DC10 and DC20 were, say, properly connected. That's the reason we were able to transfer the roles to DC20. We have to make a note that we can transfer any FSMO role, say, n number of times from one domain controller to any other domain controller. There is no restriction. So this was all about FSMO, say, transfer. Now let us understand FSMO seizing. So, say, FSMO seizing is designed for disaster recovery where we have already lost the connectivity of that particular dead object or dead domain controller. So in our second case, we didn't have any connectivity at all. Okay, neither any chance to recover DC10 in near future. So we had only one choice, that to, say, seize and perform, say, metadata cleanup. So seizing role is basically forcefully designating the role without having any connectivity between source and the destination domain controllers. So always remember, say, transfer needs source and destination to be connected, up and running and connected, but seize doesn't need the connection. So let's understand the summary now. So FSMO seizing, we saw what is FSMO seizing, when, how and how to seize FSMO roles, and we went on with the labs to seize RID master role. Then we understood what is metadata cleanup, okay, when to perform metadata cleanup, how to perform, and we removed a then domain controller using Active Directory Metadata Cleanup. So hope you have enjoyed today's session. Thanks for joining, and if you think this channel is helping you to learn anything new, please share and subscribe this channel with your technical community, and have a great day.